Welcome back to all my focused learners out there. Today, we are jumping into a truly incredible explainer. Think of this journey as a curated tour through 4 vastly different historical rooms that have each left a massive mark on the human story. We're going to strip away the myths, face the unfiltered realities, and explore some of history's absolute best mysteries. Let's get right into it.
But actually, right before we step into our first room, quick question for you: where in the world are you tuning in from right now? Seriously, drop your location and time down in the comments. It is always so cool to see who's joining us from around the globe. And hey, while you're down there, please take a second to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this explainer with a fellow history buff. It literally keeps this channel going and helps us bring these deep dives directly to you.
Okay, let's dive in. Over the next 10 minutes or so, we are going to explore 4 distinct echoes of the past. 1. Inside a medieval tavern. 2. Nefertiti's Vanishing Act. 3. The Dragon's Backbone Terraces. And 4. The Underwater Sphinx Mystery. Room number 1. Inside a medieval tavern, the unsung heart of the town. Let's step right out of our modern comfort zone and straight into the chaotic, muddy, and wildly noisy streets of the Middle Ages. Imagine you're exhausted, you've just narrowly avoided getting run over by a rogue turnip cart, and you desperately need a drink. You follow the noise, push open a heavy, creaking door, and, well, if you're expecting the cozy booths and polite menus of our modern fantasy novels, you're in for a shock. The unfiltered reality is way grittier. We're talking a literal dirt floor scattered with straw to soak up spilled ale and, whatever else. The benches are damp, you're packed in like sardines, and the main course? It's a constantly boiling pot of mystery pottage. Basically, a thick stew that's been bubbling away in the same cauldron since Monday. It's less of a meal, and honestly more of a culinary time capsule.
And then, oh man, the smell. It is a total sensory overload. We're talking less aromatic ambiance and more, well, emotional trauma. You've got these top notes of warm, sour ale literally splashed on every single surface. Underneath that, it's years of human and horse sweat mixed with moldy bread, wet straw, a faint, lingering whisper of boiled onions, and choking wood smoke from a chimney that is probably stuffed with a dead crow. But here's the crazy part. Despite this absolute assault on our modern senses, there was something undeniably welcoming about it. It was alive.
There's this old joke that a medieval tavern really only had 2 operational modes, rowdy and closed due to fire. And standing right in the middle of this delicate ecosystem of illegal gambling, half-tuned bards, and spontaneous brawls was the tavern keeper. This person wasn't just pouring drinks. They were an absolute institution. Think equal parts head chef, accountant, bouncer, and executioner of barroom justice. They memorized everyone's tab, refereed fights with whatever was handy, a ladle, a club, you name it, and somehow kept the community's beating heart alive through sheer, terrifying competence.
Which brings us to room number 2, Nefertiti's Vanishing Act, the Sun Queen's disappearance.
Leaving the smoke of the tavern completely behind, we're shifting gears to the blinding light and radical upheaval of ancient Egypt. We are stepping into this period to examine the lightning-fast rise and total, eerie disappearance of Queen Nefertiti. Now, the absolute crucial point to understand here is that Nefertiti was not just a passive consort sitting quietly next to Pharaoh Akhenaten. Not at all. She was a full-on, equal partner in a radical, near heretical revolution. Together, they essentially dismantled centuries of deeply rooted polytheistic tradition to worship one single deity, the Aten, or the sun disk. Nefertiti was the human face of this divine ideal, actively leading ceremonies and reshaping the spiritual fabric of an entire empire.
Her influence skyrocketed. If you look at the art from this era, she is everywhere. She's even depicted wearing the blue crown and smiting enemies. That was a sacred, highly specific duty almost entirely reserved for male pharaohs. But then, right around year 12 of Akhenaten's 17-year reign, she just vanishes, completely off the grid. No tomb, no confirmed mummy, no death announcement, not even a mourning scene. For a ruler so incredibly central to Egypt's cultural upheaval, her sudden absence is jarring. It's literally like a black hole in the historical record.
So, what does this all mean? Well, this brings us to one of the most electrifying theories in all of Egyptology. What if she didn't actually die? What if she transformed? There is some evidence suggesting that a co-ruler named Smenkhkare, or an individual going by Neferneferuaten, who conspicuously used feminine grammar in their inscriptions, took the throne. Did Nefertiti take on a new identity to rule in her own right as a female king? Could she have survived in the shadows, quietly steering the young boy king Tutankhamun through the massive fallout of her own religious revolution?
The rulers who came after her era certainly tried their absolute hardest to erase her from history, smashing her statues and chipping her name off the walls. But they failed. Back in 1912, German archaeologist Ludwig Borchardt uncovered her painted limestone bust hidden away in the ruins of an ancient sculptor's studio in Amarna. That single, stunning artifact completely resurrected her. In a way, she achieved true Egyptian immortality, not by being sealed away in a golden tomb, but by surviving forever in human memory, staring out with that serene confidence across the centuries.
Room number 3, the Dragon's Backbone Terraces, carving the mountain. From the scorching sands of Egypt, let's transition somewhere completely different, the peaceful, misty mountains of China. We're looking at a landscape literally sculpted by human hands, the Longji rice terraces, known beautifully by the locals as the Dragon's Backbone. To put this into perspective, you are looking at over 700 years of pure, multi-generational patience. The Zhuang and Yao ethnic minorities didn't use bulldozers or dynamite to build this. Armed with nothing more than stone tools, wooden shovels, and woven bamboo baskets, they tamed these steep, unforgiving hills entirely by hand. Layer by painstaking layer, they carved horizontal veins into the mountain, engineering a massive hydraulic masterpiece that looks remarkably like the sweeping scales of a mythical sleeping dragon.
These terraces aren't just agriculture, they are a living, breathing contract between humans and nature. The whole landscape shifts completely with the rhythm of the seasons. In the spring, the flooded paddies act like giant mirrors, reflecting the sky. Summer turns the mountain into this vibrant emerald sea of swaying rice. Autumn brings the glowing golden grain to feed the villages. And finally in winter, the dragon rests under a quiet layer of frost and snow. It is a continuous, incredibly beautiful cycle.
The people living there today, including the Yao women who are famous for their uncut, flowing black hair, are the guardians of this delicate system. They measure time not by the clock but by the seasons, and while sure, modern tourism and smartphones have definitely made their way up into the hills, the locals have managed to absorb that change without losing their profound connection to the earth. They still plant the rice by hand, they still honor the mountain spirits, proving that tradition, when it's rooted deeply enough, really can outlast every storm.
And our final room, number 4. The Underwater Sphinx Mystery, an enigma beneath the Nile.
For this final stop, we're diving into a heavily debated, unresolved archaeological mystery just a stone's throw from the Giza Plateau. We're looking at what some people refer to as the Underwater Sphinx. Now, I want to be completely impartial here and present both sides of this divide, because it's a fascinating debate. On the one hand, mainstream Egyptology argues that this submerged, lion-like shape is simply the result of natural limestone erosion. They say it was carved by millennia of Nile flooding and fits perfectly within the standard 2500 BCE timeline of Giza. On the flip side, alternative theorists argue this is actually a pre-dynastic human-carved monument that predates the pyramids by thousands of years, pointing to a potentially lost chapter of human civilization.
The reason this debate stays so fiercely alive is because independent researchers point to some very specific physical anomalies. For instance, sonar scans have actually detected rectangular foundations and geometric patterns buried down beneath the silt. On top of that, geologists like Dr. Robert Schoch have argued that the deep vertical weathering we see in this specific area mimics heavy, sustained prehistoric rainfall, the kind of weather that literally hasn't touched this region since around 7000 BCE. Combine all that with a distinct, non-random symmetry that remarkably resembles a feline form, and well, you can see why questions are being asked. So you might be thinking, why hasn't anyone just grabbed a shovel and found out? Well, it's complicated. No official, state-sponsored dig has happened for a bunch of reasons. Egypt's archaeological institutions are understandably highly protective and rely on rigid academic consensus. Plus, physically excavating a flood-prone area of the Nile is an absolute logistical nightmare. And frankly, there's an inherent reluctance to potentially disrupt established timelines without undeniable, ironclad proof. So, the site stays exactly where it is, trapped in this endless tug of war between extreme caution and intense curiosity, buried deep under the mud.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound thought to wrap up on today.
Whether we're talking about a debated monument drowned in the Nile, a revolutionary queen erased from the temple walls, a dragon painstakingly carved into a mountainside, or even just the lost, rowdy songs of a medieval tavern, history is clearly not a closed book. It is a living, breathing puzzle, and it really makes us wonder what else lies hidden, just beneath the surface, waiting for someone to listen. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and I'll see you in the next one.